So can he even sit closer if he's asking the questions, or? Like?
Yeah, we can. Let me see how close we can get before.
Get my feet out of the way.
Sorry, John.
You okay, John?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and then I'm going to double up with a voice recording, and then I'll be able to match it.
Okay. It's just him hearing the questions, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm concerned about, right?
Well, are you able to, you want to ask the first question, and then let us know if the first question is okay.
So do I say what the date and place is of the interview?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
So today is June 27th, 2025, and we are at Station Bellingham in Washington State. What's his full name?
And then you ask those questions.
Oh, I asked these?
Yep.
Right here?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, what's the date and where are we today?
Oh no, the date is fine. Just ask him his name. I'm sorry, Natalie.
It's okay. Sorry. I'm like learning to try to be a PA. So, okay. What's your name?
John Francis Finn.
Awesome. And when is your birthday?
August 20th, 1920.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little about where you're from and your family and the education that you've had?
I'm from Escanaba, Michigan. It's in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It's a small town, about 14,000. I lived there my first 13 years. It's on Beatty Dock, which is part of Lake Michigan. Then we moved up to Marquette, Michigan, which is on Lake Superior. And I went to high school there and a year in college. And I worked in a bank for a while, and then the war came along, and I was coming along, so I went to Dearborn, and I worked for Ford Motor Car Company in Highland Park, which is a suburb of Detroit, and we made Sherman tanks there. And I was in the employment office. I was doing all the recording of all the people that came through. Somebody else would hire them, and then I'd get all the information. That was the job I had. And it was, it's hard to explain. But anyway, it kept me out of the war for a while. And then the man that was sort of in charge of everything there, and was certainly in charge of enlisting people, finally he said, "John," he says, "you hired all the relatives that I have that want to work, don't have any more, so now I gotta get you in the Army." I said, "No, you're not going to get me in the Army," and I enlisted in the Coast Guard.
Do you have a big family?
Did I have a big family? I only had one brother. He was younger than I am. He passed away about 4 years ago.
Why did you join?
Why? Well, I knew I was either going to be enlisted and I didn't want to go in the Army, and I didn't want to be in the Navy as a little one guy on a big battleship. So that's when I decided I was going to enlist and do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. And it worked out very well for me, I thought. So I enlisted in the Coast Guard, and they sent me to Manhattan Beach, which is next to Coney Island. And I went to the training course there. There was 40 of us, and I came out 7th in the 40. And I was supposed to receive Petty Officer 3rd class, but all of the rates were frozen at the time, so I still remained as a seaman. And from there, I was transferred to an icebreaker, U.S. Coast Guard cutter icebreaker, Mahoning, and it was stationed next to the ferry dock of the ferries that went from Manhattan over to the islands. And we broke ice in the wintertime up to Albany, New York. And we stayed at Newburgh, New York during the winter. That was our headquarters. And we break ice up and down both ways. Is that enough?
Yeah.
Give you an idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was a typical day like for you? Watch standings, drills, free time. What did you do while you were on the cutter?
Well, I was just a seaman, and I swabbed the decks and cleaned some quarters and kept things in order. And it's just minor jobs I did.
What did you do on your off times when you would come into port?
Oh, one thing I did, which helped me a lot, was I found that the Merchant Marine had a school, a night school, where they taught navigation and navigation rules and celestial navigation. And they had night courses, so it was only 6 blocks away from where our ship was tied up. So I went to the Merchant Marine School and graduated from their classes on navigation, which helped me a lot.
So let's see, what question are we on?
13.
15. Okay, so can you switch to the most, a common day once World War II had started and you were deployed to the Pacific?
Okay. Let's see. So many things went on, it'd be hard to pinpoint any of them. But let's skip a ways. Anyway, I was ordered to go to FS 268, freight supply ship. And I was on a small crew, initial crew, and I saw the ship being finished being built and was launched. It was launched sideways, and it came off with a big splash, and I was hauled over to the dock, and we got aboard, and we took it into New York Harbor and over to New Jersey and the shores over there to get outfitted for the Pacific.
And in the car, we talked about the Philippines.
Yes.
Would you be able to tell me again about when you stopped in the Philippines, what the purpose of that stop was, what you did there?
Well, the Japanese had the Philippines, and as the war went on, they retreated from the Philippines. And so we were in the southernmost island of the Philippines, and we brought supplies there. Well, that was our job, was to bring supplies, so we'd bring supplies there to them. And there were 2 ports there, one on the east side and one on the west side. We were able to visit both of them. We had a shallow draft, so we could get into places where large ships couldn't, so we could bring the supplies where they were needed. And I remember this one bay, and the Army had these amphibious vehicles on land, and they could roll it right into the water and float, and they'd come around to the ship, and we'd load it as much as it would take and go back. I think they had about 3 of them, and they'd just circle around, we'd load them and take them back. And we also had a little gal, her name was Nina. She was a little teenager, and her dress was a sack, and she'd cut holes here and here and here, so she wore the sack upside down. That was her only clothing. And she had a canoe with an outrigger, and she'd bring us fruit and vegetables, stuff like that, and we traded with cigarettes. Cigarettes are more valuable than money. So that's what we did there. She's Nina. She became quite a good friend of ours. Quite helpful.
That is a wonderfully visual
Yeah, that's
detail.
awesome.
I won't forget it. So, can you tell me, I was curious about Douglas MacArthur in the car, but can you tell me who were the big figures in the Coast Guard at that time, or in the military, who were the top dogs that you knew about?
I don't know.
Who was your...
So I wasn't in a position to take orders from some big shot.
That's true.
I was part of the crew, so I don't know how they got their orders.
How about your command? What was your command like?
Have a great weekend.
People I worked with,
Take care.
Mm-hmm.
very nice people. This one was Norwegian, and he had worked on yachts in the South Pacific, so he knew the South Pacific pretty well. I swear he could look over the side, the color of the water, and tell us where we were. I was quite impressed with his abilities. And so he was our skipper, and he got us around the Pacific very well. There was one place he took us that was quite unique. Maybe a couple hundred years ago, top of this mountain blew off, and what remained, water filled in, and there was a big, big lake, and top of the mountain all the way around it, except the entrance that we had. And as we went there, and came to the entrance, and I looked over the side, the water was just crystal clear. You could see the bottom, and it's 20 feet deep, and just as clear as could be. And I thought, oh, boy, what a wonderful place to go swimming. And before we went in to anchor inside, the skipper called the crew together on the fantail, and he had a hook and a chain on a hook of about 2 feet, and he tied a rope to it, and he called the cook and he said, bring me a piece of beef, and he put a piece of beef on it, and he threw it out here in this beautiful swimming area. Within 10 minutes we'd hooked a shark. Nobody went swimming. Nobody even thought of going swimming. He hooked the shark, he pulled it up to the stern, he emptied his gun into it, and then he hauled it up, and he had it hung on a fantail. So we had that damn shark handy as a sign, do not go swimming, but everybody avoided going swimming. There's no chance of they ever go swimming. So that was our experience with the shark.
So how did you keep in touch with family?
Didn't. I could write letters, and every once in a while we might come into a port where they could take the letters and ship them off, but there was nothing consistent about it.
What was the food like?
Pardon?
The food?
Good. We had a good cook, and we had a big freezer there, and he had loaded the freezer, and oh man, our food was good. And sometimes we could go in the kitchen if we wanted to and make ourselves a sandwich, and he'd help us. He was a good cook. He was a great guy.
Did you guys eat any of the shark?
No way.
Did you feel any pressure or stress while you were in?
I think everybody did in the wartime. Can't help it. Never knew what was coming up next. We didn't live with the stress. I mean, you just felt it, but you didn't live with it. It just happens once in a while when you think about the circumstances, what might be ahead.
When you were underway, what did you all do to entertain yourselves?
I didn't entertain myself. I was the chief helmsman, and on the way I was at the helm at least 8 hours during the day.
Okay, we have some questions from all the people here. They have some historical questions for you. So the first one is, tell us about the most memorable moment you had with a shipmate. Did we go over that while I was away? Tell us about like one of the most memorable moments you had with a shipmate.
With the shipmates, I mean going ashore and getting drunk.
I want to hear it.
I can't think of anything.
What was the best beer in the
I had
Pacific?
this the guy that was he was from Georgia, and he and I became quite friends. And when the ship was in a harbor where we could go ashore, the two of us would go ashore and drink beer, and wander around, and we're pretty good buddies. We one was down in Panama, I think it was. We were strolling around, we were just exploring the place, and we were walking into this one area, and all of a sudden we noticed there's a man following us, and he caught up to us and he tapped us on the shoulder, and he said, in a whisper, "Turn around and follow me out." So we turned around and followed him out. He says, "A lot of people have walked down here and got killed and robbed." So that was about the closest we got to being killed, I think. So we were very grateful about that. We were very careful where we went after that. And we didn't have a signalman. I was a quartermaster, but I had courses in signaling, so I had to do the signaling as well. And I did so much of it going into Panama. There's always some son of a bitch wants to identify herself, not run out to identify herself and go back to the wheel. By the time I got to Panama, I had to go in the hospital for 3 days because I'm blind in this eye right now, which is probably part of it.
That was
I
great.
want to ask him about how he and his wife met. Is that okay? How did you and your wife meet?
Pardon?
How did you and your wife meet?
How did we meet?
And how long have you all been together?
I'm not going to go into that.
No? Okay. Never mind.
Salacious.
Yeah.
No, I was very fortunate. I'll tell you the story. Okay. There was a man that we knew that had an apartment building, and in the basement he had his office. And we called him the Godfather. He was Italian. We called him the Godfather. And every Friday, this friend of mine and I would go down there with the Godfather, and we'd drink some of his wine, which he made his own wine. And he had a bulletin board up there, and there's a lot of pictures up there. And I found myself looking at this one girl that was pictured up there. Finally I said, "Who is that?" And I said, "Oh, that's," and I gave her a name. I said, "Think I could meet her?" He says, "Yeah, we'll arrange it." Well, she was in Australia at the time, so I didn't get to meet Barbara for about a month later. I finally met her, was introduced to her, and we had lunch together, and that's how we got started.
That's awesome. Did you have any more of those questions?
Yes. Can you tell me a little bit about what you've seen over time with the military and how it's changed? I don't know how much. You know what? I'm gonna change it. What do you hope is passed down from when you served? What do you hope is